Hello everyone, I hope you're all having Sorry, I'm like too excited to even do a proper intro. I hope you're doing good. So today is gonna be a really fun video in my opinion because I'm gonna do a huge throwback to my vampire phase reading period. So when I was between 9 and I want to say up to even 14, I read a lot of vampire books. Even later, like 15 even. A lot. Yeah, I always liked reading, but just vampire books, I was so obsessed. You guys, like Teen Wolf, Vampire Diaries, Twilight was my life. Like, anyways, I'm gonna talk about all the vampire books I read during my vampire reading phase, and there's a lot, so let's just get started. I'm gonna talk about the ones that were biggest in my life. So I'm gonna start with the most obvious. This is Twilight, and I even actually made my mom read Twilight. My mom has suffered so much during my vampire phase. I made her read everything. So this is Twilight. I love Twilight. I still love Twilight. I have no shame in saying that. Every time I get sick, I watch all of the Twilight movies, and I realize some parts are problematic, but like, I enjoy it. So I don't care. I really don't care. But yeah, I've reread the first book several times like afterwards, but it's been probably like 6 years since I last read the first book. So maybe it's gonna be it's time for a reread. We'll see. That'd be fun. Okay, so the next series, oh my god, guys. These are in no particular order. This is this series. What is even this? Is this the True Blood book series? So I was obsessed with True Blood, and I actually made my dad watch it, and I'm pretty sure he thought it was like quite inappropriate for the age that I was in, which it totally was. He was definitely in the right, and I think he just watched it with me because he wanted to make sure like I wasn't traumatized by all the like sex scenes and other stuff. You know, there's this intro to the series where there's a fox that gets eaten by maggots, and I was traumatized. I think that's why I like hate maggots so much. But anyways, I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these books, and they are not the same as the series in any way. I think the series is much better, and I would love to rewatch the series, which is, it's just crazy. I really I really like it, and I quit halfway through season 5, so there's still a few episodes that I haven't seen. But yeah, I mostly watched it because of Alexander Skarsgård, which is just, he's 43 now, which is weird because I was like really obsessed with him. He was such a good like badass vampire. Now I'm obsessed with Bill Skarsgård, which is 29, which I feel is better, you know? But oh my god, he's so attractive. Okay, we'll move on before this becomes too cringe for anyone to be able to handle. Then we have something which is actually super insane. I was not on BookTube during this time, so I don't know how hyped any of these books were, but I read this many books of the House of Night saga. Saga, is that what it's called? House of Night novels. I read 9 of these books, which is the most I've ever read in any series. But it's not completed, so I can't count it as a completed series that I've read, but 9 books, you guys. I read the first 6 in Norwegian, and then the last 3 that I read in English. The series isn't actually good, you know what I mean? And I like the concept that a mother and daughter wrote it together, and I think it's one of those books where like you read it for like all the intrigues when it comes, but all the middle parts are actually quite boring. But yeah, I remember being quite obsessed actually. Oh my god. Vampires, am I right? I would be very interested to know why teenage girls got so obsessed with vampires. Like, what is it about vampires? Is it like the mysterious hotness? Is it like, I don't know. I would be very interested to know. Leave your thoughts of that down below, because I don't know, I can't fathom it. Then just to get the series out of the way, I want to talk about 2 series that are actually not vampire related but supernatural related, and the first one is the Hush series. I love this series. This is one of my favorite series of all time when I read it, and I read the first 2 books in Swedish and the last 2 in English, and I just like I was so obsessed. When I read this, I just flew through it. I loved them so much. So problematic, but I didn't give a shit, you know, because they were addicting. This is why I'm fucked up, okay? It's just, It's all because of these supernatural series. And another one that was really good at the time was the Shiver trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater. I actually continued to read the Raven Cycle, and that was also quite good. So I don't know like how problematic these were because I don't remember, but I love the feeling when you're a teenager and you read like the vampire supernatural books. Oh, this is like a perfect book for like lighting. Look at that. You just get so obsessed, like this feeling of complete obsession, and then you have to have the next book, or you have to watch the next episode, or you have to gossip about everything that happens in the show in or book. This is an amazing feeling, and I think no one can shit on like the vampire phase or anything like that because of it, because it actually brings something. It was so meaningful in my life, and it made me like such a passionate person. I don't know if it's a root of all my passions, but I loved vampires, you guys. And I also read some quite unknown books, which are the ones I'm going to get into now. Oh yeah, another trilogy that I also want to talk about. I don't have the last book in this trilogy because I loaned it to my sister, but this is Awakened, Abandoned, I don't know what the series is called, by Meg Cabot. And yeah, I also really like this series. This is actually a little bit of a different series because it's more like about the underworld, but it's also romance. I don't know, I think we love the supernatural because of the romance. Like, what would the supernatural be without the romance, right? Then we have this series. I actually read this way later in my vampire supernatural phase. I think at this point I was over my supernatural phase, but I still kind of like wanted to be in it. This is mostly romance and friendship books, but they are so silly, and I recently tried to read the fourth one and just DNF'd it after 4 pages. After 10 pages. I actually gave it a try, but I just could not get through it, guys. This is such a this is more adult, actually. It's not teenage books. I just want to put that out there, but it's written in like teenage silliness ways and has all the themes of teenage silliness but for adults. But yeah, I'm kind of like, I was over it at this point, but it definitely was a try to like keep the love for supernatural books when I read these. And now I'm going to talk about 4 books, vampire books, that I read, which I have no idea the different plots between them, because in my mind they all kind of like blend together, okay? But this one I know is actually not, this one I do remember very well. This is Josie Griffin is Not a Vampire, and I do remember this because I think her boyfriend broke up with her or cheated on her or something, and then she cracked his window on the car, and she had to go on this like anger management meetings, but it turned out it wasn't like a anger management group, it was like a supernatural problems group. And so she just told everyone, because if she thought everyone was like freaks or whatever, so she just told everyone that she was a vampire so she could like fit in, and it turned out all these supernatural creatures were actually real. And I do remember actually really enjoying this one, but I've never heard anyone talking about it. And then we have Team Human. You can just like I can't believe I read all of these. This is so funny. This one is written by Justine Larbuster and Sarah Rees Brennan. I have no idea who these authors are, but I think this is one of those books where vampires are like known to everyone, and her best friend falls in love with one, and then loads of stuff starts to happen. I do vaguely remember reading this book, but I don't remember the plot really. This one I do remember. Jane Jones' Worst Vampire Ever. This one I remember was really funny. Like, it's just kind of like, I feel like all these books, they are all teenage books, and it's like, she's not beautiful, she's not rich, she doesn't sparkle, she's just an average, slightly nerdy girl from an ordinary suburban family who just happened to be a vampire. So yeah, it's like, I don't know, I read so many of these guys. I don't know what I was thinking. This is Drink, Slay, Love. It's obviously like a theme of the Drink, Pray, Love book. What was this one about? Oh, I remember this book. I kind of want to reread this one. This one sounds good. This is about a 16-year-old girl called Pearl who is a vampire. She drinks blood, she's allergic to sunlight, and she's mostly evil until she gets stabbed by a unicorn. And after that, she actually like slowly grows a conscience, and she can finally be in the sunlight. And so her parents use her to lure humans into a feast. But this sounds really good. I want to read this again. Okay, so I'm gonna do a poll in the corner asking should I reread these books and give my like new thoughts on the vampire books that I used to love, and then comment below which ones you think I should reread. I think that would be fun. I only have 2 more books to talk about. This is The Vampire Diaries. I was obsessed with The Vampire Diaries until you realize everyone comes back to life and nothing matters. But yeah, I read these are like the first 4 books in 2 different volumes, but these books are so boring and they're nothing like the series, so I remember just giving up on them. Oh my god, this is such a big pile, you guys. And the last book that I read during my vampire phase is Gil's All-Fright Diner by A. Lee Martinez. This is actually one I just picked up because I thought it sounded fun in the store, and the cover is really cool. I really liked it. So this is basically just it's 2 guys who accidentally go into this bar, I think, and then loads of things start to happen about vampires or werewolves or zombies or something like that. And it's actually adult book, if I remember right. And I remember it being really slow, but it's supposed to be one of those, like, I don't know, like quirky adult banter, weird things happen in a bar book. Did I explain that well? I actually almost forgot about this book because it's in Norwegian. This is Amy Plum. It's called, in Norwegian, it's called Våk over meg, which actually translates to Look After Me. But this is also like a vampire book, I think, or it's something about the undead, because I remember she meets this guy who his job is to basically save lives by sacrificing himself, because he can like come alive again. And this was a present, so I didn't actually like read this because I wanted to read it, but then I ended up really liking it and never continuing with the series. I will insert like the English version on top of this so you know which book I'm actually talking about. And I think this was actually one of those like popular booktube books back in the day when booktube started. I don't know, let me know. So yeah, those are all the books that I read during my vampire phase that were like supernatural related. I hope you guys enjoyed this like 10 years later wrap up. 10 years? Oh my god, it basically is. 10 years ago that I read most of these books. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and comment below any thoughts that you had or the questions I had during this video, and what books you guys read during your vampire phase, and if you went through one, what your reflections are now that it is over on like the past. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you have a brilliant day, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye!